Welcome back, everybody, once again to Titans Tube. This is our Week 3 preview video when hated division rival Indianapolis Colts are coming to Nashville to take on the Tennessee Titans. What a big early season game this is, Jake. How's it going? Are you ready for Colts week, man? This is a Colts team that we haven't beaten at home since 2017 when Marcus Mariota was slinging passes down the field to Taywan Taylor on Monday Night Football. It seems like another lifetime, another era of Titans football.
You know, when I read that statistic that we haven't beat the Colts at home since 2017, I said that can't be right. I mean, we've been at least splitting with Indianapolis. But yeah, you think about it, 2018 was the Sunday Night Football Week 17, Blaine Gabbert throws the interception on the game-winning drive game. And then 2019 was the Eddie George, Steve McNair retirement. Field catches on fire, the Titans suck. And then, last season was the absolute special teams debacle on Thursday Night Football, where, you know, the Titans had the game kind of in hand. It was close. They were up like a field goal, and then it just all went to shit when the punt team couldn't even function and get a punt off. That's interesting. And going into this one, Justin, I'm feeling pretty good. You said in our NFL picks video, I thought you nailed it on the head. You like the Titans' chances going into this game, but it is the Colts, and they are just the thorn in our side no matter what. Whoever they're trotting out there's always a chance that the Colts are going to sneak one out, pull the rug out from under the Titans. It's just, you know, it's like snakes and mongoose, you know. It's just a classic hated rival. Love a good Colts hate week as well.
Yeah. If it was any other team that was dealing with the quarterback issues, I would be like, all right, I think the Titans got this in the bag. But just because it's the Colts, it's like, this isn't a guarantee by any means. The Colts win against the Titans in these situations all the time. When you think the Titans have the upper hand, they come out and play the worst game of the year. It's just the Colts have our number, but man, we got to right this ship and bury this Colts team to 0-3. Obviously, the big story surrounding this game is Carson Wentz. Is he going to play? Is he not? I would still like the Titans' chances with a fully healthy Carson Wentz, who has played some pretty good ball through the first 2 games of the season. And, you know, the Colts put up a really good fight against the Rams last week. They lost by 3 points, actually had a lead late in that game. So, I mean, this is still a pretty solid Colts team despite their 0-2 record, but it's going to be just that much tougher for them without their starting quarterback. And the latest that we have, so, you know, we're doing this on a Thursday, so by the time this video gets out, things could change. But as soon as an hour or 2 hours ago, it was reported that Brett Hundley has been elevated, and he took a lot of the majority of the starter practice reps for the Colts. So I guess we're looking at Jacob Eason / Brett Hundley. They're going to throw one out there, and if they start sucking, they're going to try their chances with the other one. So it's not looking good for Carson Wentz's prospects given this information. So I guess it's going to be hard to preview this video if the quarterback is still in question, and because they haven't rolled out Wentz. I mean, it's going to be one of those game time decisions. You know, they could be kind of keeping it under wraps that, he's not going to play, but we need to make the Titans think that he could still play just to complicate things for them, which is likely where this thing is heading. So we're going to do our best to break down this game, Jake. So I'll let you take it away from here. Let's look at, the Titans' offensive prospects. How does our passing game look against this Colts passing defense?
For sure. And, you know, coming off of the Seattle game, obviously Derrick Henry gets a lot of shine. The King has returned. I mean, 3 touchdowns, 180, 200 plus total yards.
Yeah.
But I wanted to credit Tannehill in that game. I thought he did a fantastic job of taking what the defense was giving him, throw the check down if it's not, if A.J. Brown and Julio aren't open, don't force it to them. I mean, I know that might be hypocritical to say because we're like, oh my God, please throw the ball to them. Tannehill was just taking what was in front of him. I thought he was like played really well in the Seattle game. And, he was the Arizona game's kind of a wash. So we know what Ryan Tannehill is at this point. And when he's protected well, he is a great quarterback. He can really manage games. He can not make big mistakes. We have to get the strip sack fumble issue under wraps. There's been 3 in the first 2 weeks, and they've looked identical to each other. It's unbelievable. Like, so you would like to see Tannehill get rid of the ball a little quicker. And, that kind of leans on is Taylor Lewan playing in this game. What's Roger Saffold's ability here? And also, at the tight end position, Anthony Ferkser has also been on and off the injury report. I believe he's still on this week. He's probably going to end up as questionable. But Lewan was a full practice, and people are kind of debating whether we should let him rehab the ACL a little more, or, put him back in there and try to get some redemption from the Arizona game, because Lord knows he needs it. And also somebody else who needs a redemption performance, AJ Brown in this passing offense. Uncharacteristic drops from him. We know him to be physical, strong, making those contested catches, and he had a couple uncontested catches that he just let slide through his hands last week in Seattle. So look for him to bounce back. A revenge game for our new friend Chester Rogers, who's been showing up on the stat sheet as the third wide receiver because Josh Reynolds is apparently missing. We just don't know where he is. He played missing in Seattle. He was active for the Seattle game, and I don't even know if I saw him on the field. It didn't occur to me.
And he's not hurt, right? He's not on the injury report or anything. So, like, where literally is he? He was expected to come in and play a big role as our third wide receiver.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to him.
But yeah, the former Colt, Chester Rogers, is ascending, taking the Josh Reynolds wide receiver 3 spot. So look for him to try and stick it to his former team here in Indianapolis. Flipping sides of the ball to the Indianapolis pass defense. They have corners like Kenny Moore, Rock Ya-Sin, TJ Carey. Their headliner, Xavier Rhodes, has yet to play this season and is likely to be questionable coming into this game. So I'm not sure. They might try and force him back because it's a really important divisional game. You don't want to go into an 0-3 hole as Indianapolis. So yet to be seen if Xavier Rhodes will suit up here. The safety duo of Kari Willis, Julian Blackman, entering their second year together, possibly could gel a little more. Looking at last week against an elite Rams offense, they held their own a little bit. Matt Stafford, 278 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Nothing crazy, but it was definitely an improvement after giving up 4 touchdowns and 5 or less incompletions to Russell Wilson in week 1. So, look for this Colts defense to, maybe bend but don't break. Looking back to that Rams game as well, Cooper Kupp, 160 plus yards, 2 touchdowns, paging AJ Brown in a big way to have your bounce back performance if receivers can take advantages of their matchups on the outside with this Indy defense. After last week, Justin, my faith is restored in this Titans team. I'm a little scared of the defense still giving up 30 to Seattle. But we just got to limit the turnovers on offense, and we're looking better in both games, frankly. The Arizona game, I think, goes a little bit better if Tannehill isn't strip sacked twice in that game. It was a 2-possession game in the third quarter until, again, Tannehill strip sack. So it's going to come down to pass protection here. And if Tannehill can get the play action going like we saw in Seattle, I have no doubt that this is a Titans advantage here, especially if Xavier Rhodes, their headlining quarter, has to sit out the game again.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's all about pass protection, and got to take care of the ball. You nailed it. These strip sacks, they've got to stop. I mean, it's getting ridiculous now. These are game-changing plays, and the games can get away from you in a hurry, like we saw in Arizona when these things happen. So you got to give yourself a chance here, and don't get beat so quickly that Tannehill is fumbling the ball with less than a second after he gets the snap. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I like the Titans in that matchup as well against these corners. Gotta love the talent and the bounce back. And Chester Rogers, he's 2 receiving touchdowns, 2 punt return touchdowns. Stick it to the Colts, Chester. We're looking at you this game.
Would love to see it.
All right, let's move on to the running game. Titans running game versus the Colts rush defense. As far as the Titans go, we know what's going on there. We know what's happening. We have the one true king, Derrick Henry, coming off one of his best. We said it in our recap game. It could have been his best all-around game, getting it done on the ground, getting it done through the air, through a career-high 6 receptions. and 55 yards is probably close to his career high in receiving yardage, totalage receiving yardage. And even in pass blocking, that was kind of a sore mark for Derrick Henry in the past few seasons. Missing blocking assignments when he was in there on third down. So he was looking really good, sticking it to Jamal Adams a couple times on blitzes. So gotta love Derrick Henry in this running offense. Lawan's status, like you said, I mean, we still were able to run the ball with him out of the lineup. Ty Sambrailo came in. You gotta trust, Sambrailo to come in and get the job done if Lawan can't go. But I think Lawan was a full participant in practice. So I don't know what the tweak was that he suffered in warmups last week, but if he's fully participating as early as yesterday, Wednesday, then you think that he's going to be inserted back into this lineup. Maybe he should just not warm up for this game. Just get out of bed, put on your uniform, and
stretch a couple times.
Don't
do any individual drills. Just take it easy. Maybe take a Z-Pack, some extra vitamins, and see what he can do.
Yeah. Last thing about the Titans and this offensive line, really, I mean, we know what Derrick Henry can do. It really comes down to the performance of this O-line. And Derrick Henry has started off very, not just slow, but extremely slow in both of these games, getting most of his yardage in the second half. Can we please get off to a faster start with this O-line and this running game? We got to set the tone, set the pace early, and not let Indy hang around or have to work ourselves back into this game in the second half. So I would really like to see a better performance in the first half from this O-line. Now, as far as Indianapolis's front seven, they got some talent. They got Darius Leonard, one of the best linebackers in the league, and also DeForest Buckner, who really, he was a huge problem for the Titans in that game last year at home on that Thursday night game. And then he goes out. He got injured by the time the Titans played them in Indy for the second game, and Derrick Henry went off. So DeForest Buckner, you can look at to be a problem. It's going to be tough to get things going against him. O-line's got to get ready, got to get prepared for him. A couple other players, Bobby Okereke is a key player at the linebacker spot on that front seven. And their first round pick, Kwity Paye, defensive end out of Michigan. He hasn't registered a sack. He's got 6 tackles so far, but I'm sure he figures to be an important piece on that defense in that front seven. So we'll see how it could be tough sledding given the stars on this defense and how it was in that game last year with DeForest Buckner in the lineup. But as far as last week goes, if you want to throw it back to the Rams, Sony Michel and Darrell Henderson combined for 99 yards, 23 carries. They did get a rushing touchdown between them. So decent production. This defense, though, didn't allow any big runs. I think the longest rush was, I saw like 11 yards or 13 yards, one of those. So no big plays on the ground. This will be an interesting matchup to see. Got to be able to move DeForest Buckner off that defensive line. So when it comes down to it, I don't know how we can't go with the Derrick Henry and the rushing offense for this matchup. Given the performance last week, it was amazing. And they've got all the momentum right now, and I think that carries over. So I'll give the Titans this advantage as well. What do you think?
I'd have to agree, Justin. I was chomping at the bit to say something because I feel like in the recap, I may have been dismissive of Derrick Henry's day. And even while I was watching the game in Seattle, I was thinking, Derrick Henry's not having that good of a game. And it's the first time I've ever maybe taken advantage of being able to watch the incredible play of Derrick Henry. I was of the mindset, I was like, oh, he just does this. Like kind of expect this. And I couldn't believe when I looked up, at the end of the day, and his stat line's 200 plus total yards, 3 touchdowns. I had forgotten he had 3 touchdowns. I couldn't believe I had to really check myself at the door because I'm Mr. Stop and Smell the Derrick Henry flowers. We're watching maybe one of the greatest Titans, if not the greatest Titan we've ever seen in Nashville. And I dismiss his day as, oh, he just does this. This is just how we win games, So just salute to the king. Everybody stop and smell the Derrick Henry flowers. And I honestly do think that he is probably the best player to ever suit up in a Titans uniform. So yes, give the definite advantage to the king.
Yeah. Man, yeah, good, strong phrase. But yeah, it's no one has done this. Not Chris Johnson, not Eddie George. Like these players did not completely just take over the game by themselves the way that Derrick Henry has done for this team time and time again.
And he does it consistently. When's the fall off going to happen? The fall off was supposed to happen at the beginning of 2020. Rushes for 2,000. The fall off's supposed to come this year, and he's off to a pretty decent start, leading the league in rushing after 2 games. So, just oh my goodness! I got to give the high praise.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. All right. So, man, things are looking good for us in the way that we see things when we have the ball. Jake, break down the Titans passing defense versus Indianapolis. Very much in question passing offense.
Yeah, definitely in question passing offense for the Colts. Another thing that's maybe becoming less of a question for the Titans is their cornerback 1 role, as Christian Fulton has really come on strong these first 2 weeks as being a cover corner, shutdown corner, obviously in DK Metcalf's head last week, only allowing him 1 catch when matched up with him. Obviously, Jackrabbit Jenkins on the other side. I like your note in here. They're kind of getting a break this week because, with Arizona and Seattle, you're looking at DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk, AJ Green as, kind of headlining names. And then your reward for doing that is DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. And now moving to Indianapolis, they have good talent at the wide receiver position, but it's not headlining talent like a DK Metcalf or a Tyler Lockett or a DeAndre Hopkins, so on and so forth. But yeah, you love what you see out of Christian Fulton these first 2 weeks. Jackrabbit Jenkins hit and miss, but again, I think we said it in our recap. He's kind of a Malcolm Butler type guy. He's not afraid to tackle. He's up there sticking his nose in there, and he's going to give up some plays and he'll make some plays for you. So. Moving right along, Elijah Molden having some rookie growing pains. I mean, after all, it is just he's in his 3rd regular season game as a 3rd round pick in the NFL. It's not like he was taken 1st overall and you expect him to come in being an immediate contributor. Gonna have some definite growing pains with him. But each week is a learning experience for him. I'm sure he's gonna get right, not get burnt and have people behind him again. Tyler Lockett week 2, Christian Kirk week 1. So hopefully he can come along nicely there. Another shout out in order of Dane Cruikshank coming in relief of Amani Hooker and Bradley McDougald, who no longer has a job with this Titans team as of this week. Dane Cruikshank came in and stepped up in a big way, played fast, played with speed, played with purpose. And, he could be your second guy behind Amani Hooker if come the time he comes off of IR. Yep. So you like to see the Titans pass defense somewhat turning a page in Seattle. It's weird to say that when you think of Freddie Swaim long touchdown, Tyler Lockett long touchdown, and I'm here saying that the Titans defense is turning a page when it comes to their pass defense. But, only allowing 6 points to Russell Wilson in the second half, there's something to be said there for how the Titans defense responded in that game. Looking at Indy's passing offense, obviously headlining thing is Carson Wentz going to play. It's not looking good. It really isn't. Adam Schefter's on ESPN saying it's not likely, and he's saying it in a very matter of fact kind of way. I don't expect it, So you're probably looking at the Jacob Eason show, but as we alluded to at the top of the show, Brett Hundley is maybe going to be splitting snaps. And, I can't remember a time where a team went into a game with 2 quarterbacks and worked them interchangeably and it went well for them. If you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. So we'll see how that goes. These aren't the Titans of old, but they are in some ways. And I really hope they're not the Titans of old who make backup quarterbacks look like top tier starters of this league. You can go back and find many Wisenhunt era games, Munchak era games where they're making backup quarterbacks look like top tier starters. So looking at the wide receiver group for Indianapolis, T.Y. Hilton, famous Titan killer, is on IR. I almost said thankfully on IR, but don't want to cheer for anybody to get hurt. But I mean, T.Y. Hilton has caused us a lot of issues over the years. And Paris Campbell is questionable. So leaving the two main targets to Michael Pittman Jr. and Zach Pascal. Another, former Titan killer, actually, Jack Doyle will be at tight end. He's their second leading receiver as far as yardage goes after the first two games. And, look for Nyheim Hines to come out of the backfield. He is a legitimate weapon in the passing game coming out of the backfield. So we'll see, man. Hopefully, you would think with Jacob Eason and Brett Hundley taking starting snaps in this game that the Titans defense could do enough to handle, Michael Pittman Jr. and Zach Pascal and Jack Doyle if they, were able to maybe put the clamps on DK Metcalf and lock it in the second half at least last week. So fingers crossed, Justin. I might quit Titans 2 forever if Jacob Eason has a 400 yard game with 4 touchdowns and looks electric. I don't know.
Same old Titans.
Same old
Titans.
But I'm going to give us the advantage here just because of the unknowingness of the quarterback situation and the fact that, we're seeing some positives from the Titans defense.
Yeah. So it's funny talking about all these Titan killers. The Colts as a team are Titan killers, but as we go down and list all these names, you see, notorious Titan killer T.Y. Hilton. Notorious Titan killer Jack Doyle. Here's another Titan killer. Darius Leonard, DeForest Buckner were killing us. Nyheim Hines has had really good games against us. He's a Titan. So there's a lot of killers on this Colts team because the Colts are, they always have the upper hand. It wouldn't surprise me if this defense somehow got torn up by Jacob Eason, because we've seen this before. I would just be immensely disappointed. But I don't know if it would surprise me to see Zach Pascal put him 3 touchdowns against us, because these things happen when these two teams meet. But yeah, surely, we got the advantage here. So let's finish things out here. Let's see, the Titans rushing defense versus the Colts rushing offense. Another revenge game. We love these revenge games. Danico Autry going up against his former team. It's interesting. He's played against this offensive line for the past 3 seasons in practice. He's played with them. He kind of knows, what it's like to go up against these guys. And the same could be said for their offensive linemen. They know Danico Autry and what he likes to do and his technique and what have you there. But as far as the rush defense in general, I thought they played a really good game last week. Outside of Alex Collins had 1 carry for 25 yards and didn't see the ball again after that. Yeah. That was clearly their best play on the ground. I don't know what Seattle was doing there. They did allow 2 rushing touchdowns to Chris Carson, but those were goal line carries. As a whole, he had 31 yards on 13 carries. This run defense could shape out to be a really good unit, Jake. Gotta love what we bring to the table with, Jeff Simmons, Harold Landry, Bud Dupree, Danico Autry. I would love to see these guys be on the field and playing together as much as possible, because the talent there with those 4 guys on up front is pretty good. And, I know we got to rotate guys in and out, but we got to use these guys as much as possible together. We got Tier Tart. We'll see how he comes along. I think he had a couple tackles last week. And maybe we might see more of Ola Adenai. Not sure how to pronounce that.
Hey, that was a valid effort. I mean, I always just say Ola.
Ola, who should have had that safety last week. So we could be seeing more of him. I think perhaps he earned himself some more snaps. Mm-hmm. Also, a question is what's happening with Rashad Weaver. Is he ever going to see the field? Our 5th round pick, who was looking pretty dang good in preseason. I don't think he's dealing with an injury. Just kind of, I don't know, it popped into my head when thinking about this game. Yeah, where's he at? So I don't know. And lastly, will we see Jayon Brown re-enter the lineup after missing last week's game? Not sure yet, but if not, we do trust in David Long Jr., who is filling in very well in Jayon Brown's absence. So no concern there with Jayon if he's not able to go. But I do like this rush defense, Jake. It's only 2 games, but I think they've had 2 pretty good outings, even against the Cardinals. But we got tore up through the air, so it didn't really matter last week or 2 weeks ago. So what Indy's bringing to the table, they're bringing Marlon Mack back to the table. With his return, he missed almost all of last year. So they are returning to that running back by committee approach with Jonathan Taylor leading the way in carries. And then, of course, Naheem Hines as well coming out of the backfield, who's a threat through the air. But it's really been a slow start for Jonathan Taylor this year. Only 51 yards on 15 carries last week against the Rams, given the Rams have one of the best defensive lines in the game. So you can't really fault him for that. But, in general, this Colts offensive line, I saw a tweet somewhere where, if you believe in these grades and Pro Football Focus and whatever, the Colts are grading out to be pretty they're underperforming immensely. First of all, their run block win rate and their pass block win rate
Mouthful.
It's a lot of words. Got to get those right. So whatever that means, they're grading out to be among the worst units in the league. They're like in the well into the bottom half of the league, which is very surprising. They have invested so much money and draft picks into this offensive line, led by Quentin Nelson and Ryan Kelly, the center. Their right tackle, Braden Smith, who is a good right tackle for him, has been injured. So him missing in the lineup is, I think, has some to do with that. He is questionable for this game. So that's an important player on that offensive line to keep track of through the rest of this week. But, they can't it's only 2 games. So these 2 games could be just them starting out slow this year, and they're going to get it together and get back to that one of the best O-lines in the league status. So hopefully that waits another week, and hopefully they don't get it together yet, because there's a lot of talent on this Colts O-line. But so far, not doing a lot on the ground, running the football. And Carson Wentz got sacked, and it was a scramble, but Carson Wentz is now hurt. I don't know how much on that particular play the offensive line was to blame. But I could see this as like a push category. This seems like almost an even matchup here, given that surely the Colts O-line isn't just continuously underperforming all year. They got too much talent. Too much talent on that offensive line for this to be an ongoing issue for them. So we've given the Titans the advantage in a lot of these categories. So we'll extend the olive branch to the Colts and say, this could be a push. Get your offensive line together, Indy. So,
for sure.
Yeah.
I thought it was Colts hate week, Justin. What is an olive branch? Why is there an olive branch even in the picture?
I don't know. The Colts have never extended an olive branch to the Titans. They just kick our butts all the time. I take back the olive branch. Titans get the advantage.
I'm with you, though. It might be more of a push. I feel like if the Colts were to be competitive in this game and keep it close, it could be on the legs of Jonathan Taylor having a good game or Naheem Hines like doing his thing. But we'll see. Remains to be seen. You do like what you see from this Titans front 7 out of the first 2 weeks. Great performance in Seattle minus the Alex Collins rush, which I just thought was a fantastic play call. It was, if you remember, late in the second half, their hurry up offense out of the shotgun. Russ is throwing everywhere, and they just drop a little draw play to Alex Collins. And I even said it live. I said that was a great play call. So other than that, if you take that out, fantastic performance from the Titans front 7. They were getting pressure on Russell Wilson, got to him a couple times. Would like to see another Danico Autry sack. And as far as Bud Dupree goes, not jumping off the stat sheet, especially for how much the Titans are paying him after this free agency period. But I thought he did a really spectacular job being in the backfield, setting edges, and just being kind of disruptive as a whole, whether it came to the rush game or the pass game. So it remains to be seen if Bud Dupree is worth the high price tag, but I do like what he's contributing to this team thus far. I'll give a push, but Titans advantage because it's Colts hate week. And moving to another potential olive branch that we're going to snap in half. Is Randy Bullock, Slim Randy, the savior of the Titans, obviously moving to special teams? Hopefully Slim Randy can be the guy for the Titans. He was okay last week, pushed a 44-yarder, but in his post-game press conference, he said, I thought I hit it good. I just feel like maybe the wind took it. It just felt like it drifted, even though I felt like I hit it square. So who knows if that's just an excuse from Randy to try and keep his job, but He did more
Right.
than enough to move on to his second week as the Titans kicker, which is a tough thing to do as of
Yeah.
late, stringing together multiple games kicking for the Titans. And obviously, Brett Kern at punter, who's had a somewhat shaky start, Justin. I mean, we haven't really seen the booming kicks from Brett Kern yet. I still have faith in him, but hopefully he's not getting over the hill because he's been here a long time, Justin.
Yeah.
Something to keep an eye on moving forward. It's not like he's been bad by any means. It's just not to the crazy standard that we're used to seeing, where he can
pinpointing the ball like at the 2-yard line out of bounds after like 60-yard punts. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. So flipping the field, hopefully Brett Kern can get back to doing that. The Colts kicker, Rodrigo Blankenship. Everybody knows him for the classic rec specs. Gotta love that guy. And the punter, Rigoberto Sanchez. And a great little note from here again, Justin. I got to shout out your note writing this week. Rodrigo and Rigoberto sound like characters in a buddy cop series. I love it. That's on the head. And what names? Rodrigo and Rigoberto.
Rigoberto.
It rolls off the tongue. Quite nice. Unfortunately, we will have to send an olive branch to the Colts and give them an advantage here just because the Titans special teams is such a question mark week to week. And I'm sick of it, but hopefully Randy can be somewhat consistent for this Titans team. So obviously looking over at the Colts, Rodrigo Blankenship, proven commodity, Rigoberto Sanchez, very serviceable punter in the league. So we're going to give the Colts the advantage at least here.
Yeah. I think Blankenship has yet to miss a kick this year. So that must be nice. I think the Titans total have missed like 4 field goals and an extra point between
in two games.
In 2 games. What a mess. All right. So that's kind of our recap, our preview. Breaking things down here. So just in general, predictions, keys to the game, score predictions. I'll go ahead and throw mine out first here. I don't know if it's nothing specific. It's more of like a flow of the game key. And I kind of alluded to it earlier. I really want to see this offense get off to a faster start than what they did in these first 2 games. I mean, we can't come out slow and let the Colts hang around and go into halftime leading 10-6 or 6-13, even that. We got to jump on this Colts team. I would love to see us go up 14-0 in the first quarter. Because you look at this Indy Colt, and they redo that. When you look at this Colts team, their backs are against the wall. I mean, they're going to be fighting for their lives in this game. I don't expect really for there to be a blowout necessarily. I think this is going to be a close one just because they're going to put everything they have into preparing for this game. With what they have, it's going to be tough with this with Jacob Eason, Brett Hundley taking your starter snaps. But man, they're going to be fighting for their lives in this game, and I think they're going to have to get it done on the ground. Get Jonathan Taylor going. Maybe the O-line can pick up some momentum for them, and that's where they're probably going to be gunning for this. I don't think their game plan isn't going to come in and be like and have Jacob Eason throwing the ball around 40-yard shots down to Zach Pascal and Michael Pittman Jr. They're going to have to get it done on the ground. And the best way the Titans neutralize that is a fast start on offense themselves to kind of force the Colts to have to play through the air, play catch up. So I think that's going to be a key. And also I would love to see more. I would like to see a turnover or 2. We have 1 turnover, a Kevin Byard interception. After that game it really didn't make a difference in that game. We were already going to lose that game. But I would love to see us get a couple turnovers on defense. And to not give up a strip sack for the first time this season in a game. That would be great. And if we do that, I do like the Titans in this game. I'll take us winning 27-20.
I like it. And I'm with you on the key. I was going to say fast start myself. And I am going to switch slightly over. I still would love to see a fast start from this Titans offense. We have to jump on this Colts team. It can't be a letdown spot, especially because I do think I'm with you. I think the Colts are going to be hungry in this game. They don't want to go into an 0-3 hole. They don't want to take this divisional loss this early on with the 0-3 hole. So they're going to come out hungry for sure. This can't be a letdown spot for this Titans team. And I trust Mike Vrabel enough to not have a complete letdown. Looking last week at Seattle, Justin, in the first half, the Titans had 3 red zone possessions and kicked 3 field goals. Can't happen again. Can't happen. We're used to this Titans team cashing in on red zone drives. We've heard it in broadcasts all throughout last year and even going back to the Tannehill games of 2019. They've been one of the most efficient red zone offenses as far as converting touchdowns is concerned in the entire NFL. And, you know, if we're going to be able to jump on this Colts team, get an early lead, we can't be kicking field goals. Even again, last week, they were inside the 10 twice in a row, came away with 6 points. You just can't do that. So look for the Titans to convert red zone possessions. I'm with you with the early start. I want this to be, you know, a relaxing game for once. That'd be nice, or not a depressing game at least.
Yeah.
And my second key is, get a turnover on Jacob Eason or Brett Hundley, whoever it may be back there. Rattle them early, get pressure on them, and make it like be known that, you know, you're not going to come in here with Jacob Eason and Brett Hundley and win a football game at Nissan Stadium. You would hope.
Yeah.
And I don't see the Titans letting down this game completely. I feel like they might give us a heart attack game just because the Colts team is hungry and they're going to be backs against the wall. But I think the Titans are good enough to mitigate that. And hopefully they can jump out to a fast start. I'm going to go with a Titans victory of 31-17. Not a weird score this week. It's a somewhat normal score.
Couple touchdowns. That would be nice and relaxing. It would be good for the blood pressure if Titans could take care of business in the way that we know that they can. But again, I say it a lot. You know, playing the Rams the way they did last week was pretty impressive. Limiting them to 27 points on defense. If the Titans think they have as good of a offense as the Rams, then I mean, we could still be scoring sub 30 points in this game. So it could be close. It could be a dogfight. This is a AFC South divisional game against a team that historically has our number. Haven't beaten them at home in several years. When their backs are against the wall, it could be a dogfight. And so we'll see. Would love to see a 2-touchdown victory. Another classic Derrick Henry performance on a day that the Titans are paying tribute to the Oilers. And the Oilers of the past, and adding, we should have mentioned this, adding Bum Phillips, old Oilers coach from the Love You Blue era, to the Titans Ring of Honor, I think. So a cool thing for them. It's going to piss off Texans fans, which makes it that much more sweet. And hopefully it's a good, fun Sunday, and laughs will be had and joy will be spread with the current Titans and the former old Oilers.
I know we're wrapping this up. How do you feel as a whole about it, Justin? You are more ingrained with the Titans coming to town and, you know, being a Tennessee guy. How do you feel about Oilers Honor Week, especially when the Titans aren't even wearing the jerseys? I mean, I feel like this is something that should have been kept and saved until they could debut the Oilers throwback unis. I mean, it seems I've seen mixed reviews from Titans fans as like, I don't really care all that much, or, you know, what's the connection? There's not really one because there's a name change and everything. I don't know. I was curious to get your take on this.
It does feel like weird timing is the only thing. Like you said, I wish we could have worn some Oilers gear or something. As far as the connection goes, admittedly, I mean, I was young, but I definitely wasn't paying attention to really football in general until the Titans came to Nashville. And my dad ended up getting season tickets. And so I went to a lot of the home games, and it was super exciting. And the Titans were awesome. And they won every single home game last year in 1999, first year in that stadium. But I don't know. I do, over the years, I kind of do embrace the Oilers history, and I think it's cool. And no, I wouldn't have been a Houston Oilers fan today if the team never moved locations. I mean, I'm just being honest. But the Earl Campbells and the Warren Moons and the Oilers of old, yeah, sure, it's part of the Titans' history. The Oilers are the Titans. So when I look back at that, I think it's cool, and I think it's a cool thing and I think it's an important thing that Amy Adams Strunk, the Adams family, is honoring, the roots of this organization. But other than that, it just feels like weird timing, like you said. It's cool. And Bum Phillips is probably the best coach in that Oilers era history. They went to back-to-back AFC Championship games in the late '70s, and I don't think they ever made it back to that game until the Titans did in 1999. So it's a cool thing, paying tribute and honoring these old players and keeping alive that the roots of this organization. Because the Houston Texans, they don't honor the Oilers or anything. They didn't want to build them a new stadium, which is why the Oilers left. And now they're mad at the Titans for paying tribute to their own team, because the Titans are the Oilers. It's the same. Yeah. It's the same thing. It's the same history. I don't understand the argument from a Houston perspective of, Titans should give their history back to Houston, when it's like, no, the Oilers are the Titans, so it belongs to the Titans. I guess.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I get it, and it's kind of like if when the Browns moved to Baltimore in the '90s, they changed the name, identity of the team. I feel like the Titans' identity, keeping the blue color scheme at least somewhat, is some kind of tie to the Oilers of the past. Yeah. But it would be like if the Ravens kept the Browns history, which it's definitely muddy, because you look at current day and there's a Cleveland Browns team. They're the Cleveland Browns. It's not the Houston Texans. It's not the Cleveland Ohioans or something, a different name from the Browns.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought it was interesting. I know I've seen Earl Campbell kind of flip-flop on it. I've seen him in a Texans polo on the sideline at Houston games, but you've also seen him in the cart at Titans practice talking to Eddie George, and obviously or Eddie George, pardon me, Derrick Henry. And obviously, obvious comparisons, same franchise, and they're kind of the same player. At least Derrick Henry is a more modern version of Earl Campbell. So yeah, I'm with you that it's weird timing. It felt like it came out of nowhere, and all of a sudden it was Oilers week.
Yeah, I maybe I missed the announcement, but it was like just a couple days ago, and I'm like, Oilers week, what is that? What are we doing? And I see the Titans Twitter page has changed to the Oil Derrick, and it's the official tribute account of the Houston Oilers and / Tennessee Oilers or something like that. And I don't know, it does feel like the same teams. It is the same team, but it has that feel too, especially because we had that 2-year transition where the team was in Houston, and then they played in Memphis, and then at Vanderbilt Stadium, and they were called the Tennessee Oilers. And so you have that connection there, and then they finished their evolution to the Tennessee Titans. And you have old pictures of Steve McNair and Eddie George wearing the Oiler uniforms, and it's like,
that's true.
That brings it back home to like, it's all connected. It's the same history. It's one team. I feel like it should belong to the Titans. It is. It's the same organization, same ownership. We're just playing in a different place and change the name. But
no, I'm with you. It's the Oilers are definitely the Titans. There's no disconnect there. I get there's a new team in Houston. Whatever, get over it. And yeah, I'm all for shooing away Houston Texans fans who claim that their franchise is the same franchise of Bud Adams, who obviously brought the team to Nashville. So I know we were wrapping it up and we just went on another 15-minute talk about the Oilers history, but I was curious to get your take on that, and if it felt weird timing, which I think we're on the same page there.
Yeah, and that's the only thing is the timing thing. But in and of itself, I think it's cool, and I think it's an important thing to honor the roots and the Oilers of the past, and to let it be known that this stuff is still part of this franchise, and it's an important part of the story of this organization. But yeah, could have waited until we could have worn the jerseys. That would have been sweet.
Yeah, but, I figured that would have been the case. I was like, we can't wear them until next year. I know. But that would have been the perfect, Oilers tribute week to do it if they're going to actually be in Oilers garb. But to kind of wrap that up, fuck the Colts, Justin.
Oh yeah, by the way, we hate the Colts and we hope we pummel them and pulverize them. Yeah, let's get back to that. But no, this is good. This is an important conversation to have, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I mean, with it being Oilers week, we should talk about this, and who knows when the next time we're going to honor them is going to be. So it's a good, relevant discussion to have. But
for sure,
screw the Colts, and we hope we put you out of your misery this weekend and end your season into an 0-3 hole. And man, that would feel good. It would be a good Sunday if we did that.
absolutely. And yeah, apologies for the coarse language. Feel free to bleep it out.
It's Colts hate week.
Yeah, it's Colts hate week. I mean, hate is a strong word. There's other strong words to convey our discontempt with the Indianapolis Colts franchise. But yeah, looking for a Titans win this weekend. Let's tighten up. Everybody have a great football weekend. Hopefully we see lots of Jacob Eason and Brett Hundley failures on the field if Carson Wentz does in fact not go in this game. Can't be a letdown spot. Mike Vrabel, I know you're showing this in the locker room. Can't be a letdown spot. This team's got to come ready. The Colts are going to come ready because they don't want to be 0-3. So let's tighten up and get a dub.
Yes, love it. Love everything you said. Tighten up, y'all. Leave us a comment and subscribe. And I'm
all that jazz.
Yeah, I'm kind of flubbing up the. You were rolling so well, and then I'm like,
Oh man,
Titans aren't gonna blow it like I'm blowing it right now and wrapping up this video.
Not a chance. All right, peace out, y'all. Have a great weekend.
Yeah, see ya.